Good evening. Thanks for joining us. This is NTD Business and I'm Paul Graney. Good news for the new year. Fewer Americans are applying for unemployment benefits, but the number is still incredibly high. A new study shows people still prefer shopping in physical stores, but it also says stores will need to evolve in order to survive. The New York Stock Exchange changes its mind again. Now it says it will delist 3 Chinese firms linked to the Chinese military. Another 787,000 people applied for unemployment benefits last week, an incredibly large number. But the number of people on continuing claims fell by 126,000 to just over 5 million. So things are slowly improving overall, you might say. Virus restrictions are still affecting businesses across the country, especially mom and pop shops. The CCP virus pandemic also continues to hurt retail and consumer spending. The Federal Reserve says the labor market will continue to struggle in the coming months. So far, there's over 360,000 reported deaths in the US, with around 13 million people recovering. And services sector activity in the US increased in December, but it shed jobs for the first time during the recovery. The non-manufacturing activity index increased to 57.2 last month from 55.9 in November. A reading above 50 indicates growth. The sector accounts for more than 2/3 of U.S. economic activity, so important for our economic recovery. Economists expected the index to actually fall to 54.6 in December. The surprise pickup mirrors a similar rise in production at factories last month. And apparently, people still prefer shopping in person. I know I do. It seems indoor shopping isn't dying, it's just got to evolve. Here's the details.
Radiant, the shopping experience platform, says many consumers still prefer shopping in person, but stores that survive and thrive must focus on in-location experiences. It surveyed 1,000 U.S. consumers. 46% prefer to shop in person, a 9% decline from Radiant's 2020 report. 90% say they return to stores where they had a good shopping experience, and 25% believe they'll do more in-store shopping this year. Why do so many shop in-store? It's the ability to interact with physical products, the overall experience, and being able to immediately buy instead of waiting for delivery. A new CBRE report agrees. The real estate firm says online shopping won't replace physical stores, but physical stores will have to update their shopping experience with mobile browsing and everything in between. Retailers need to satisfy those who want to shop, experience, and return products anywhere and anytime. Shoppers should be able to buy online and pick up in store, ship returns through the mail, and buy through their phones. Stores could increasingly take on high-tech fitting rooms, hospitality lounges, and better customer services.
And Tesla chief Elon Musk leapfrogs Amazon boss Jeff Bezos to become the world's richest man. Bloomberg reports that Musk now has a net worth of more than $188 billion. It's $1.5 billion more than Bezos. Tesla shares rose more than 800% last year. They're up 7.4% on Thursday alone. It's now at a record of nearly $812 a share. It's now the world's most valuable car maker, and Musk himself has a 20% stake in the company. But the Forbes billionaires list still shows Bezos leading Musk, as due to the more conservative calculations. And a controversial California wealth tax bill seems to have died, at least for now. State lawmakers reintroduced it in December, and NTD's Zach Lee spoke to an expert who says it could be detrimental if it ever does get passed.
In order to deal with the financial shortage caused by the pandemic and unfunded pension liabilities, California lawmakers proposed a wealth tax last year that will impose a 0.4% tax on California residents who have an annual net worth of over $30 million. According to one of the bill's authors, the goal is to bring a more equitable tax structure.
The example I like to use, because I've never met the man, is Zuckerberg. You know, if he's worth $100 billion, then 0.004 would be a $400 million tax.
Hank Adler is an associate professor at Chapman University. He studied the impact of the wealth tax and has published several articles. Adler said that the tax is designed to follow individuals for a decade, even if they leave California, and applies to anyone who spends more than 60 days in the state. However, Adler believes that this wealth tax will not create revenue as the authors expect.
And what we're seeing is an exodus of individuals in California who have great wealth. To some extent, when they leave, their employees leave with them. The income taxes for that individual leave. The wealth taxes never get collected. People who have great jobs who are paying taxes ostensibly will move to new jobs in other states.
In fact, high-tech companies like Oracle and HP have recently joined Tesla, announcing their decision to move their headquarters from California to Texas. The wealth tax failed to pass the Assembly Committee last year, but Adler believes it will be reintroduced this spring.
If we continue to raise taxes, and if companies start to leave the state in greater and greater numbers, fewer wealthy people will want to move here, and we'll see huge net losses of both wealthy people and jobs.
But California legislators are doubling down on raising more taxes. Last month, California Assembly members Luz Rivas and David Chu proposed another bill to increase personal taxes for those making more than $1 million a year and impose a higher corporation tax to deal with the homelessness issue. Reporting by Zach Lee, NTD News, Los Angeles.
Stocks on Wall Street, though, continue to hit new records Thursday, even after the violence at the U.S. Capitol we saw yesterday. The Dow rose about 212 points, or 0.69%. The S&P 500 gained nearly 56 points, or 1.48%. The Nasdaq added almost 327 points, or 2.56%. Can't but think it's detached from reality, but maybe investors expecting Biden and the Democrat-controlled Congress to deliver a bigger stimulus deal. Who knows? They're now waiting on a comprehensive December jobs report that's due on Friday. But Bitcoin is up 12% again today. It's now at a record high of over $40,000 a coin. It's only worth half that amount last month and priced under $10,000 a year ago. To help push the cryptocurrency market cap above $1 trillion for the first time ever. The crypto market is extremely volatile though. Big gains when things are going well, but can plummet to extreme lows when things are bad. The last big run Bitcoin had was in 2017. It hit then a record 20,000, only to crash a year later to around 4,000, so watch out. The New York Stock Exchange says it will delist 3 Chinese telecom companies. That's after changing its mind twice about it in the less than a week. NTD's Patrick Hayden reports.
The New York Stock Exchange now says it will delist 3 Chinese telecom companies. It comes a day after Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin told the exchange he disagreed with its decision to reverse the delistings. It's the third time in less than a week that it has ruled on this issue. It now says China Mobile, China Telecom and China Unicom Hong Kong will be removed from their indexes on January the 11th. Sources say Mnuchin had a call with the exchange's president, Stacey Cunningham, on Tuesday. In it, Mnuchin expressed his concern over the decision to relist the companies. Republican Senator Ben Sasse said the latest decision is the right call. He said Chinese firms that reject fundamental transparency requirements and have ties to the Chinese military shouldn't benefit from American investment. Trading in the securities will be suspended on the New York Stock Exchange at 4 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday. Reporting by Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
The S&P Dow Jones also says it'll remove the 3 Chinese telecom companies from its benchmarks. And in politics news, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is considering another impeachment against President Trump. This despite the fact the president's current term ends in 13 days. Pelosi blames the president for protesters breaching the Capitol building on Wednesday. I'm sure everybody's seen the footage. She calls for Vice President Mike Pence to immediately remove President Trump with the 25th Amendment.
I join the Senate Democratic leader in calling on the Vice President to remove this president by immediately invoking the 25th Amendment. If the Vice President and the Cabinet do not act, the Congress may be prepared to move forward with impeachment. That is the overwhelming sentiment of my caucus.
If the Vice President invokes the amendment, a majority of the Cabinet has to agree to unseat the President. Pelosi says if the Cabinet doesn't act, Congress will impeach the President again, or at least try to. And Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao has resigned from the Trump administration. She cited protesters storming the Capitol building on Wednesday. She's the first cabinet member to quit. She says she'll help Pete Buttigieg in taking on the department. He's Joe Biden's nominee for Transportation Secretary. Chao is the wife of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. In recent weeks, McConnell has, you could say, increasingly come out in opposition to Trump and his policies. Several resigned Thursday, including Stephanie Grisham, aide to First Lady Melania Trump, and Mick Mulvaney, U.S. envoy for Northern Ireland and also former chief of staff to President Trump. And police are now investigating the killing of a woman at the U.S. Capitol yesterday. As protesters invaded the building, a U.S. Capitol Police employee shot former Air Force veteran Ashley Babbitt. And just a warning, this next video is a little bit graphic, might be difficult for some viewers. Babbitt was one of the protesters forcing their way toward the House chamber where politicians were sheltering in place. Babbitt received medical assistance before being taken to the hospital, but was later pronounced dead. She was 35 years old. The officer who discharged their weapon was placed on administrative leave pending the investigation. Her family is now seeking answers about what happened there. Still to come this evening, Burger King will soon have a new brand identity. It's rolling out a new logo, but what's behind the change? And a consumer watchdog says Chinese internet companies are bullying customers. That and more after the break.
When you look at TV networks in America, a soundbite and fight-it-out culture prevails on news and commentary programs. As a Canadian, I'm fascinated with America, and I wanted to offer American thought leaders an opportunity to share their thoughts in a deep dive format, where we can explore their ideas together. And so American Thought Leaders was born. The world's most brilliant thinkers believed that open discourse was the key to greatness. However, all around the world, we see that discourse is being stifled and political agendas have subverted media. The Epoch Times launched its Global Thought Leaders program to bring back this great tradition of free thought. As the host of American Thought Leaders, every week I interview some of the most intriguing minds on the most pressing issues of our time. Be sure to check out our new episodes every week.
Over 40 Bed Bath & Beyond stores will shut their doors by the end of February. That includes stores in 19 states and Puerto Rico. Back in July, the home goods retailer announced it was planning to close 200 stores over the next 2 years. 63 of them shut their doors by the end of 2020. The company spokesperson told USA Today that with the additional 43 closings, Bed Bath & Beyond will be done with about 60% of its planned closures by the end of February. And Impossible Foods is cutting prices for distributors in the U.S. by as much as 15%. The news comes as demand for the plant-based Impossible Burger actually increases.
For the second time in a year, Impossible Foods announced a price cut on its meat alternative products, urging wholesalers to pass that cost saving onto consumers. The 15% price cut announced Wednesday will bring the lowest possible price for an Impossible Burger to about $6.80 per pound in the U.S. Even with that discount, the Impossible plant-based burger will still be more than double the price of traditional ground beef per pound. Impossible Foods, which competes against startup Beyond Meat, has several retail and restaurant partners in the U.S., including Burger King, Starbucks, and White Castle. Prices are also going down in international markets. The price cuts come amid surging demand for the meat alternative, which grew even stronger during the health crisis as animal meat producers struggled with production shutdowns to curb sickness on factory floors, which led to meat shortages at supermarkets. With demand high and production increasing sixfold since 2019 in order to keep up, Impossible Foods says the business model can now sustain another price reduction. And according to a statement from CEO Patrick Brown, more price cuts are coming as he aims to bring the price of alternative meat low enough to undercut the price of farm-based meat.
And Burger King's branding is getting a whopper of a makeover. The fast food giant is changing its logo for the first time in more than 2 decades. The new logo looks more like a burger and the chain says the colors are inspired by, quote, real and delicious food. The old logo with the blue curve has been used since 1999. The company says it reflected a time when Burger King was pursuing speed of service. Now the chain is focusing more on its food. It's good to hear. The new logo also works better with smaller screens, very important, of course, when more people are shopping on their phone. The brand makeover includes new food packaging, new employee uniforms, and new signage in remodeled restaurants. The full rollout of Burger King's 19,000 global restaurants will take several years. Wow. And Chinese internet companies are bullying customers with data and algorithms. This according to a Chinese consumer watchdog. NTD's Patrick Hayden has the details.
The China Consumers Association says Chinese internet companies have been violating consumer rights. It says they're misusing personal data and bullying people into purchases and promotions. The association says targeted advertising deprives customers of choice, and some of these ads violate the law, public order, and good customs. The association says consumers are the playthings in the hands of platform operators. Beijing issued draft rules in December aimed at preventing internet companies from behaving like monopolies. It's China's first serious move against the sector. China also warned its internet giants to brace for increased scrutiny. It recently slapped fines and announced investigation into deals involving Alibaba Group and Tencent Holdings. Reporting by Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
So the comments evening. A tour guide in Germany reinvents his city tours. It's after the pandemic hit the travel industry hard. And cosmetic surgery in South Korea is booming. People are rushing to get a better look before they have to take off their masks. I'd have more after the break.
It's just clear as day. The media, whether it's broadcast, cable, or print media, has become extremely biased. And I started looking online for alternative ways to get information. And I saw an ad for a free trial. And I looked at it and I said, Epoch Times. I mean, come on, this is end of days type of stuff. I mean, what are they going to be talking about here? And I said, well, it's a free trial. Let me dig in. Is it giving me both sides? Is it giving me an objective point of view here? I have looked for opportunities to see where they might be biased, and I don't find it. It has given me a level of trust in media that I didn't think I'd ever get back. I love the Epoch Times because it has renewed my faith in the idea that a reliable, responsible, non-biased source of information is available. And I can say that I love it because of that.
Americans are seemingly looking forward to traveling without virus restrictions in 2021 and spending more time with loved ones. The What Matters 2021 survey was conducted for travel agency Agoda. Last month, they asked people what they look forward to most in 2021. The top answers: spending more quality time with loved ones, traveling more with family and friends, and traveling unhindered. Other choices included taking more spontaneous trips and traveling at a slower pace. People over 50 were most likely looking forward to traveling without restrictions. 25 to 54-year-olds said they're looking forward to spending quality time with friends and family. The youngest group, 18 to 24, they said they were most looking forward to making a difference. As we all know, the pandemic hit tourism and travel hard, led to empty hotels, cancelled tours all around the world. But not for one tour guide in Germany. NTD's Evelyn Lee has the details.
Good morning from Berlin. This is Jeremy.
Jeremy Mintzberg is from Minnesota, but he's lived in Berlin for 20 years. He's made a living giving private tours of the city, but the pandemic put a stop to that, so he had to get creative.
And you have to think outside the box. And instead of saying my clients are coming to Berlin, I thought, how can I bring Berlin to my clients?
Now he gives live tours of the city virtually through Zoom. Mintzberg has had clients from as far as New Zealand and Australia, but most are from the US. One is Karen Winokur, who organized a tour for 20 of her friends. She likes Jeremy's tour because it's live.
So it's not someone on the screen showing you slides of Berlin. He's walking and talking, and his knowledge is amazing, and his personality, and he's just the whole package. He's great.
The time difference and the short Berlin days make it hard to find a good time for people in the US when there's also daylight in Berlin. But as the days start to get longer and as travel is unlikely to pick up again anytime soon, Jeremy is preparing for a full schedule of online tours in early spring. Reporting by Evelyn Lee, NTD News.
The pandemic has really destroyed many businesses, but it has boosted one business in South Korea, cosmetic surgery. We hear from one student who recently got her nose done, figuring it may be the last chance to do it, before secretly taking off her mask.
Much of the world is waiting for vaccines to wind down the global health crisis in 2021. But for some South Koreans, it's a deadline to reshape their face and recover behind a mask. A face mask mandate in the country and working from home has fueled a boom for South Koreans' famous cosmetic surgery clinics. 20-year-old student Ru Han-na shelled out thousands of dollars to have her nose done in December.
I thought it would be the best to get it done now before people start taking off their face masks when vaccines become available.
Ru took her courses online throughout 2020, and while she still can, she wants to recuperate at home and go out in public without drawing attention.
There will be bruises and swelling from the surgery, but since we will all be wearing face masks, I think that should help.
South Korea is a world capital of plastic surgery, even during non-pandemic times. And industry data shows it was worth about $10 billion last year. But Ru's surgeon Pak Chol-woo says there's been a recent surge of interest.
Both surgical and non-surgical inquiries about eyes, eyebrows, nose bridge and foreheads, the only visible parts, have certainly increased.
And government data shows that over 10% of South Korea's emergency stimulus payments were spent in hospitals and pharmacies, just behind supermarkets and restaurants. Details of which hospitals and pharmacies weren't disclosed in that data. But another surgeon, Shin Sang-ho, told Reuters that people spending their stimulus boosted the recent revenue in his clinic in the glitzy district of Gangnam.
I felt like it's sort of a revenge spending. I've sensed that customers are expressing their pent-up emotions by getting cosmetic procedures.
This surgery boom may end up as a short-lived spark, however. South Korea's recently struggled with a third virus wave, with daily case numbers breaking records. Ru's surgeon Park says he's seen a number of recent cancellations by his clients as people stay inside to ride out the wave.
As the latest business updates for today, you can still catch NTD Evening News at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Alex should be on there from 7 p.m. speaking with Cindy Drukier. I'll give her an update on what I saw yesterday in D.C. Quite an eventful day for anyone who's following it. For business news, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hi, we're happy to announce that you can also catch us on cable TV now. Millions of households already chose us as one of their trusted news sources, and you can too. You can watch us in Chicago, Washington, D.C., New York, and everywhere Verizon and Frontier Fios are available. And if your system doesn't carry NTD yet, you can just give them a quick call and request NTD on your cable provider. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.